All right, let's do the Wild Robot, chapters 36 through 40. Again, this is the Wild Robot. Bright Bill soon forgot about the incident with Rockmouth, and he spent the morning cruising around the ponds with other goslings. He was becoming a great little swimmer. He was also becoming a great little speaker. Hello, my name is Bright Bill, he said to anyone that would listen. The gosling was small for his age, and he always would be, but he was growing bigger and stronger by the day. His increasing size was matched by his increased appetite. He gobbled down grass and berries and nuts and leaves. Sometimes he'd snack on little insects. If it was edible, Bright Bill would eat it. And even if it wasn't edible, he might eat it anyway. Roz felt something like fright the time she saw Bright Bill swallow pebbles on the beach. She was holding him upside down, hoping the pebbles would fall out of his mouth when Loudwing stepped in. Put the gosling down, said the goose with a laugh. It's perfectly natural for Bright Bill to eat a few pebbles. They'll help him digest his food. But not too many, okay, little one? Like most youngsters, Bright Bill was incredibly curious. He explored the garden and the pond and the forest floor, and he would occasionally explore neighborhood homes. He'd wander down some hole in the ground and say to whoever was there, "Hello, my name is Bright Bill." Then a long robot arm would reach in and pull the gosling back outside. "Sorry to bother you," Roz would say in her friendliest voice. The mother and son slipped into a good nighttime routine. When the gosling slept, the robot might tend to the fires to cool it out, or gently fan him if it was warm. If he woke up hungry or thirsty, Roz brought him food or water, and whenever he had nightmares, he was always there to rock him back to sleep, kind of like a mother. Wow. Chapter 37 is called The Squirrel. A small squirrel was scurrying through the garden. Bright Bill had never seen her before. He peered out from the nest and watched her bounce across the lawn. After a minute of spying, the gosling shook his tail feather and waddled outside. "Hello, my name is Bright Bill." The squirrel froze. Then she slowly turned around, and then she started to talk. "Hi, Bright Bill. My name is Chit Chat, and I'm a 12 and a half week old squirrel, and I'm new around here, and your home is really big and round, and I don't understand why smoke comes out of it sometimes." Reader, I'm not quite sure how Chit Chat got enough air into her lungs to go on like that, and I'm not sure how Bright Bill had patience to listen, but he stood there and politely nodded as Chit Chat rambled on and on. "And sometimes I see you waddling behind your funny looking mother, and you seem so nice that I thought I'd come down and introduce myself, and now I'm nervous and I'm talking too much. My name is Chit Chat. I think I said that already." That's a long run on sentence. There was a pleasant silence. Bright Bill stood on one foot for a moment. Then the gosling took a deep breath and said, "It's very nice to meet you, Chit Chat. I don't think you talk too much. I think you talk just enough, and I like you so let's be friends." A big smile appeared on the squirrel's tiny face. For once, Chit Chat was speechless. Chapter 38 is called A New Friendship. Chit Chat wasn't speechless for long. She'd already been alive for a whole 12 and a half weeks, and she wanted to tell Bright Bill about every exciting thing, and every boring thing, and that had ever happened to her. And so as the new friends played and explored and ate together, the squirrel shared her stories. "I was born on the other side of the hill, and then last week I decided I was ready to build my first dray, which is what you call a squirrel nest, and now I live in that tree with a weird bump in its trunk," she said while the two of them kicked pebbles into the pond. "One time a weasel chased me through the treetops until he missed a branch and fell all the way down and crashed into a bush and walked all wobbly, and he never bothered me again," she said while the two of them crawled through a hollow log. "Eel gross. I saw you eat that ant one time. I ate a gnat by accident. I didn't like it at all. I mostly eat acorns and bark and tree buds and sometimes the yummy berries that grow in your garden," she said while the two of them took a snack break. But Chit Chat was as good a listener as she was a talker. And whenever it was Bright Bill's turn to speak, she kept quiet and hang on to his every word. Do you know who enjoys their conversation most of all? Our robot Roz. The protective mother was never far away, and she felt something like amusement at the silly conversation she felt overhead. And she felt something like happiness that her son had made such a good friend. Chapter 39, The First Flight. Bright Bill had spent his entire life by the pond, and he was becoming very curious about what lay behind his neighborhood. So one day, his mother said to him, "Let's go for a walk, and I will show you more water than you can possibly imagine." Roz placed the gosling on her flat shoulder, and the two of them set off across the island. They marched out of the forest, crossed the great meadow, and climbed uphill until they were at the top of the island's western ridge. Before them was a grassy slope that descended all the way to the dark, choppy waves that surrounded the island. "That is a lot of water," said the wide-eyed gosling. "I'm a good swimmer, but I'm not good enough to swim across that pond." That is not a pond, said the robot. That is an ocean. I doubt any bird could swim across the ocean. Waves rolled in from the horizon. Seagulls circled from the shore. A steady breeze blew up the slope. Brightbill's yellow fluff had recently changed over to a coat of silky brown feathers, and he spread his feathered wings into the breeze. And then, Mama, look! For the briefest of moments, the wind lifted Brightbill off the ground, but he quickly tipped backwards and thumped into the soft grass. I was flying, he squeaked. That was not flying, said Roz, looking back at her upside down son. Well, I almost was flying. I'm going to try again. I have observed many birds in flight, said Roz. Sometimes they flap their wings quickly, and other times they fly without flapping at all. They spread their wings and soar on the wind. So I was soaring, said Brightbill. Almost. There, look at that soaring seagull. It seems like she is not doing anything. But if you look closer, you will notice that she is making small adjustments with her wings and tail. I think you should try adjusting your wings in the wind like her. Brightbill hopped onto a rock and opened his wings wide. The wind is pushing me backward. Change the angle of your wings, said the mother, and let us see what happens when they slice through the air. Brightbill slowly angled his wings downward. The more he turned them, the less the wind pushed back. And just as his wings leveled off, Mama, look! He squeaked as his feet left the ground. I'm soaring! I'm soaring! He hovered there for a second, rising a little higher than before, and then he sailed backward to the soft grass again. The gosling hopped onto the rock and kept riding the wind and kept tumbling into the grass until he started to find his wings. With each attempt, he floated a little higher and a little longer, and finally Brightbill really did soar. He lifted high into the air and hung there, floating. He turned his wings down and felt himself drop. He wiggled his tail feathers and felt himself veering back and forth. I'm a natural, he squeaked. You're doing very well, said Roz, but you need to keep practicing. And so they spent the afternoon practicing up on the ridge. Once Brightbill was comfortable soaring, he tried flapping his wings. He flapped high into the air. He flapped in straight lines. He flapped around and around in circles. A big smile appeared on the gosling's face. Clearly, Brightbill was designed to fly. I'm flying, Ma. I'm really flying. You are flying, said the robot. Very good. Brightbill was now a real flyer. But all that flying had worn him out. He lowered himself to the ground and tumbled into the grass one last time. His landing still needed some work. Roz placed Brightbill on her shoulder and headed back to the nest. I can't believe I can fly now, Mama, said Brightbill in his sleepy voice. I just wish you could fly with me. And then the gosling's words were replaced by his quiet, steady breathing. She can't fly. Chapter 40, the last chapter for this section. Brightbill was a flying fanatic, and his favorite place to fly was up on the grassy ridge. The robot and the gosling liked to spend afternoons up there working on the finer points of flying. And it was on one such afternoon that they noticed something mysterious far out at sea. See right there? Cargo ship. Brightbill spiraled down to her mother, flopped on the grass, and pointed to the horizon. Mama, what's that thing? Roz's computer brain found the right word. That is a ship. What's a ship? A ship is a large vessel used for ocean transportation. Brightbill's face scrunched up with confusion. Used by whom? I do not know. It was the first ship either of them had laid eyes on. From the distance, it looked as though it was moving slowly, but it was actually racing through the waves. From that distance, it looked as though it were small, but it was actually one of the largest ships ever built. The robot and the gosling watched it crawl across the ocean until it finally disappeared to the south. Where had the ship come from? Where was it going? Who was on board? Roz and Brightbill had many questions, but no answers. That is the end of chapter 40.